Well, the next theme, folk and popular culture diffusion. The question to be answered, do elements of folk culture spread through geographical space differently from those of popular culture? Let's look into it and answer the question. Folk culture spreads by same models and processes of diffusion as popular culture, but in folk culture, diffusion operates much more slowly. The relative conservatism of such culture produces a resistance to change. The Amish, for example, as one of the few surviving folk cultures, are distinctive today simply because they reject innovations that they believe to be inappropriate for their way of life and values. But that doesn't mean that folk culture do not change. It does, but at much slower rate as compared to popular culture. So if we have to use one word for popular culture, probably change is the word. Popular culture is more than willing to change. I guess that breaks the monotony of our life. So folk culture diffusion is much slower, or relatively slower. As folk culture has weakly developed social stratification, it tends to retard any kind of hierarchical diffusion. Well, a very good example of folk cultural diffusion that originated in Yankee region and spread west and southwest by expansion diffusion was the American Agricultural Fair. This was an European custom adopted in Northeast United States, and then it diffused, and it's still very popular. The fair was first held in Pittsfield, Massachusetts in 1810, and from that region it diffused westward into American heartland, the Midwest, where it gained its widest acceptance. This was initially to market what is being done and grown by the farmers, but slowly the entertainment element has been added to it. As opposed to folk culture, diffusion in popular culture is very fast. Earlier, diffusion took a long time to move around from a region to region, maybe in terms of hundreds of years. Even in 19th century, diffusion took decades to move from one place to other. But with increased transportation as well communication network and mass media, the diffusion occurs within a week or even days now. Example could be Bollywood music, which is from India, their dance, their costume, which moved into the Western world or other parts of the world. In the United States, Bollywood dance has not only been featured in mainstream films, it has also become very popular as a new fitness activity at many gyms and dance studios. All sorts of diffusion play a role in popular culture, but hierarchical diffusion plays a great role. McDonald's, as it moved into the world, it moved from big urban center to big one. Walmart is a classical example of hierarchical diffusion. Initially, Walmart sought contagious diffusion, but later on it moved on to reverse hierarchical diffusion, like going to small towns before the large urban centers. 90 to 95% population of United States live within 15-mile radius of Walmart. Walmart initially located its stores in smaller towns and markets, only later spreading into cities. The precise reverse of the way hierarchical diffusion normally works. So the combination of contagious and reverse hierarchical diffusion led Walmart to become the nation's largest retailer in only 30 years. Advertising is a very important vehicle for diffusion in popular culture. Billions of dollars are being spent on advertisement to reach out to people so that products would be selling in the market. Commercial advertising is limited in its capacity to overcome all spatial and cultural barriers to homogenization. Well, there are cases where the advertisement technique had to be changed. For example, England-based Cadbury chocolate maker decided to market its line of chocolate and other candies in China, but the company was forced to change their advertising technique because, unlike Europe or North America, China has no culture of impulse buying and no tradition of self-service. So Cadbury had to change the name of its product, avoid using mass marketing. Sometimes the name of the place helps to sell a product. Well, this has also been created by advertisement where the product and the place has been linked very strongly. For example, the wool from New Zealand or olive oil from Italy is very closely associated. Advertisement is a major thing which is being worked on in popular culture with a lot of money spent into it to have things diffused from place to place. Well, as soon as communication barrier comes up, diffusion gets affected. Iran and Taliban in Afghanistan, where there has been a ban on satellite television, so there's hardly anything diffusing out from the outside world. 20 to 50% of news in Canada is foreign origin, as opposed to 12% in USA. So if it's foreign origin, we tend to get a different perspective of the news. So government censorship also works in order to have the custom-made information delivered to the public. So communication barrier can actually bring a change in the diffusion in terms of its speed, in terms of its movement, in terms of its direction. Well, there's an eternal problem in folk cultural diffusion, which is called the single source invention or multiple source invention. Single source invention is referred to as general diffusion. Multiple source invention is referred to as independent invention. Distribution of blowguns is a very good example to study the single source invention or multiple source invention. Blowguns were probably first invented on the island of Borneo, where from it diffused to Southeast Asia. But how did it reach Native Americans in Western Hemisphere? It's a long travel from there, and folk culture does not travel. Folk culture does not believe in as much of diffusion. So was it independently invented by the Native Americans, or the relocation fusion in pre-Columbian time has brought blowguns into the American world? Or did it spread to New World only after European discovery of America? So there is a debate always whether the blowguns are single source invention which diffused out, or simultaneously the same thing has been worked on different places. So this map up here, the red part, is the distribution of blowguns, and we can see the way it has been worked on. It's pretty sporadic, and it's very difficult to justify that from east to west it has diffused. So more or less it indicates that at the same time, or maybe at different time, blowguns has been worked on by different people in different areas.